Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I'm going to be weight relieving this Stratocaster body. It is made out of catalpa wood. It currently weighs in at, I'm going to throw it back on the scale here real quick and we'll take a look. It's at 3 pounds and 9.5 ounces. And my plan is to create kind of a bathtub here that will give me flexibility in the future with different pickup combinations, but I also just want to get a little bit of weight taken off of this because I'm kind of falling in love with the idea that Strat bodies can be super light, and it makes for even more comfort, and they seem to just kind of like resonate more, but it's more just about the feeling of the guitar in my hands or on my lap when I'm practicing and recording. So anyway, I've got my trusty router here all set up and ready to go, and I've got my double-sided tape. So the way that I go about doing this is I will flip the guitar upside down, the guitar body. I'll grab some double-sided tape and I'll put a strip along here. It'll stick, it should stick, like that. Once I press it into the workbench, it'll stick just fine. And then I'll put another piece towards the horns, and that should hold my body steady so I don't have to break out the clamps and do other stuff like that to try to hold it in place. Alright, why does this give me trouble? Alright, there we go. Alright, so I've got my 2 pieces of tape, and now I will flip the body onto my workbench. It will cooperate with me here. There we go. Alright, yes. So now that I have that stuck down, I can work without the guitar shifting around. Double-sided tape is one of your best friends. I've used it to secure various pieces of wood when I've even been doing long cuts on my table saw here and stuff like that. And just as a special note, I am shooting from the garage today because since my shop now is a dust-free area, or relatively dust-free, I do almost all of my sanding and cutting and routing out here in the garage now. All right, so I'm gonna get to routing. We don't need to, I'm not gonna film that because it's just gonna be super loud and not that interesting. So I will be back in a second with the final result. And I'm back. Sometimes you just have to own things. I was wondering if I should even show this on camera, the routing that I did. I was freehanding. My bit got snagged a little bit and it slipped, which turned this into a little bit of a hot mess. I had to go back into recovery mode, and then the opening was such that I was having a little difficulty grabbing flat surface. I should have used a template. I usually do use a template, but I thought, oh, it's it's just a Strat body and the pick guard will hide it. Here is the gnarly route. It is definitely a bathtub and a half. It did reduce the weight significantly. It is now at 3 pounds 6 ounces, so we got rid of 3.5 ounces worth of weight. I can feel it in the guitar. It does feel significantly lighter just in my hand, so it was worth doing. I did run out in a panic after I cleaned everything up, my huge mess, to grab the pick guard to make sure that it's going to hide everything, and there we go. It does hide everything, and I will probably go in with some hand tools and try to clean up a little bit, maybe make it look a little bit nicer, but to be quite honest, I really don't care what it looks like. I just wanted the weight reduction. I also I wanted to have full flexibility with wiring in the future. You notice the shallow route that went into, let me go ahead and remove the pick guard again. I have a shallow route here. That is if I feel like putting like a slider switch or something like that onto a future iteration of this guitar, but I'm really hopeful that this is the final iteration of this instrument. It's been through a lot. I just put it through a lot. It's ready to have color on it, and it's ready to have its neck put back onto it. And speaking of the neck, the next thing that's coming up will be how I prep a neck for reshaping right now. All right, So, preparing a neck for reshaping. The sun is shifted. I'm in my garage. This isn't probably as good a lighting, but oh well. So this guitar project overall, and I mentioned this, I believe, in another video not too long ago. I'm putting a Sherwood green equivalent, solid color, no metallic, on that guitar body that we just routed out very sloppily. But anyway, that's going with that. You saw the mint green pick guard loaded with white plastics and all of its electronics. So the final part of the puzzle is that I want to take this, this is a Warmoth neck. I've had this neck for a very long time. This was made in, this was made back in 2005. So anyway, this neck's been on a number of different instruments. It is a boat neck, so it's a C shape, but it's really fat. I love the overall feel of the neck, but I do just want to remove a little bit of material, you know, kind of flatten this down, take it down by like say a 32nd of an inch or so, 1/16 of an inch, somewhere in between those two measurements. I want to take it down a little bit, but maintain the shape. So when I go about doing something like this, blue tape is my best friend. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I will mark this out. And then with my little sanding block here, with no sandpaper on it, just kind of do a real brief demonstration of how this process is going to go for me. All right, I'm taping off at the heel, where the heel flattens out, because we don't want to go anywhere past that. And that will be my first warning place, okay? I don't want to go, when I'm sanding, I'm not going past that. And be mindful of the scoop into the heel. You want to make sure that you're not like ruining that contour, and that you're, as you are removing material, that you maintain all these nice contours that are already on a manufactured neck. All right, I'm doing the same thing up here at the headstock, where I want to stop. Now I'm a little further up on the headstock because there is a little swoop there, but I'm also further up on the headstock because out of the Warmoth factory, it is slightly fatter here than it is here, like down into the 2nd fret, which I think was just a mismanufacture. Somebody just didn't sand this area quite enough. I've made necks and done that myself. I know how easy it is for that to happen. So I want to get that down. I want the thickness of the neck to be the same here as it is here, relatively. Well, not relatively, no. I want it to be the same thickness here as it is there on the 3rd fret. For it to be fatter on the 1st, just really, it's something I feel in my hand and it really bothers me. So that's why I have my tape up a little bit higher than normal, because I am going to be reducing that right there to get it dead flat all the way across the length of the neck. Okay, next up, since I'm removing a relatively small amount of material to, you know, kind of flatten out the neck a little bit, what I'm doing is I'm going to follow along my skunk stripe here and the contour of the neck. I'm just looking at both places. We know it fans out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a guide, a sanding guide for myself, and then take a look. And that's not enough. And I'm looking from the side because that will tell me how far I'm going to sand. So I'm going to come out a little bit further this time and make another mark. And that's where the blue tape really comes in handy. And now looking at that, if I pull this really nice and straight and tight, whoops, not quite there, to there, and there we go. Now I'm seeing the line that I will sand to, approximately. I am of course going to be checking physically, and when you line up the tape you can see that fatness right there. I don't know if it'll show up very well on camera, but things are a little fatter right there than they are just a couple frets down. So anyway, when I'm sighting this, when I'm looking at it, I can see a thin line of material past the blue tape when I'm looking dead straight down on it. And that is where I'm gonna sand. I'm gonna sand in that middle until I hit the blue tape lines or go a little past them, depending on how it feels. Now, I'm gonna put a piece on this other side. And this is all a lot of feel. I mean, you're gonna be, if you're gonna go ahead and attempt to sand your own neck down, you're gonna be playing a game of feel. You want to remove small amounts of material at a time, and then check, and then go back and remove more if it's not enough. Once again, we have another line here. Right now, what I'm looking at when I look down at this neck is that we are removing, it's about a 32nd to a 16th of an inch. In fact, why don't I see here, do I have, of course, I'm in my garage. I don't have, oh, I have a ruler over here, but maybe I can get an approximate reading. Yeah, this one has pretty small increments. Let's see if I can get a reading on this. Yeah, it's a 16th of an inch with a bullet. So I will flatten this even more to make it all even, and then you go through, you take your sanding block and you can flatten that down. You've reduced the overall thickness of the neck. Then you go angle by angle and you round it back out. And then your final step of the process after rounding, you're gonna have a little bit of a sharp edge there. You wanna gently round that out, keep your feel, don't wreck the rest of the neck, and just keep feeling that out until you get it just right and you have a nice smooth curve, you know, all the way down the neck that fits well in the hand. What I'm going to do now you'd be like, oh, well, you've removed all that material, you've wrecked the finish of the neck. Yes, you have. There are choices to be made at that point. You can use your tape off zone, spray some poly, sand the poly, or nitro, and then try to do your best to match it to the existing finish, and then blend it. That's one option. What I do with maple necks, and I actually do it with other necks as well, made of other material, I just will go ahead and do a finish sand on it, get it up to like 400, 600 grit, and then I just oil it. And it's that simple. I'll oil this sawdust. Excuse me. I'll get this really nice and well sanded, finish sanded to my liking, and then I will probably just oil it and let it go. I like that look on a neck, and also this guitar, I'm not so much concerned about overall aesthetics. I'm not going for perfection here. I want complete comfort. I think that wearing away the finish on the neck, I might actually go through and just, you know, hit the rest of the neck with some like 400 or 600 grit sandpaper and remove some of the more of the poly, if not all the poly, without changing the shape, and then just oil the whole neck. So that's how I go about reshaping a neck. If you decide to undertake this job, it is not that difficult, but it is kind of scary because you're like, oh crap, I'm going to take the neck off of my guitar and I'm going to sand some of it off. But guess what? A lot of classic players and a lot of contemporary players do exactly that to very expensive instruments. So don't be scared of it, just own it and do it. All right, if you made it this far into the video, you're a brave soul. So anyway, please hit the subscribe button. Likes are much appreciated, shares, and in the comments, what do you think of my hot mess of a routing job? And what do you think about just taking some sandpaper to your neck? You know, is that nuts too, or is that just something that we go through sometimes as DIYers just to make our instruments our own? All right, you take care.